Welcome everybody to my channel. My name is Rainer and this is Rainier Books. You are watching BookTube. I wanted to make a tag video, which I don't know if anyone has done this before on BookTube. I haven't found any kind of links to videos about that. But when I saw Sarah from Hardcover Hearts do a review of Marcel Proust's work, I thought of the Proust questionnaire. And the Proust questionnaire was I think it wasn't invented by Marcel Proust, but it was a game, a salon game, a ballroom game in the 1920s, I think. And people asked each other this questionnaire, and for some reason, it got the name Proust's questionnaire. Although the 35 questions are not his questions. The German newspaper Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung has driven this for years and asked very famous people, writers and movie stars and politicians, philosophers, those questions that are sometimes really quite personal and intimate. But it's up to you and up to me to answer the question, so to reveal things about me. And I want to replace, with this video, I want to replace my welcome video on BookTube. So let's do Proust's questionnaire and let's get started. The first question is, what is your idea of perfect happiness? Perfect happiness is something that I think, being as old as I am, that doesn't exist. Because perfect happiness as something that endures all the time in each and every moment of your being is something that I redeem as impossible. Many, many years ago, when I started at uni in Aachen, in Germany, I made a seminar about short stories, and finally I wrote a paper about the short stories, the early short stories of the American writer John Updike. And there's one story, I don't remember the name actually, there's one story where Updike is describing two people, a young man and a young woman, meeting each other in their hometown, but both are on home vacation from their colleges. So I don't remember that. But then they know each other very vaguely. And the guy is driving the car, and the woman beside him, the young woman, is falling asleep in the end of the story. And this gives the man, who doesn't romance the woman much, maybe a little, but the fact that she's falling asleep beside him shows him that she has so much trust in him that she is falling asleep beside him. And this gives him a moment of happiness, and he drives this car very happily for a while. And John Updike has once said that the sum of these small moments of happiness add up to happiness. And that's also what I think, because there are moments of happiness and we have to cherish them, we have to value them, but there's no such thing as perfect happiness, I think. The second question, what is your greatest fear? Well, we have a lot of fears, and one of my fears right now, of my great fears, is to fall sick with COVID-19 and maybe end up in a hospital, maybe end up in a ventilator. I have the age, I have overweight, I have the sex, so I'm kind of in a risky situation. But it's not the greatest fear, because I still think that I can protect myself from this. When I socially distance, when I wear a mask, when I keep the distance as much as that is possible on the outside. So that's what I'm trying to do. But the greatest fear is, if you're a parent, I think, and I am a parent of two kids who have grown up, who are young adults now, in their early 20s. But the greatest fear that you can have is always that something happens to your children before it happens to you. And that is something that is, I think I share with millions and billions of parents all over the world. So that is the greatest fear that I have, that I'm not able to take care of them as long as I have to take care of them, and that something could happen to them. What is the trait you most deplore in yourself? The trait I most deplore in myself is definitely that I am, I should have been, I can say that now, I think I should have been more ambitious and focused and structured, and that maybe would have led me somewhere else. But I'm not unhappy with where I am now. So, but this is one of the things that another thing that I would love to be better in, and is that it would be easier for me to say no, and would be easier for me to say, stop, you're going too far. And that's what many people have told me already in my life, that I'm too nice a person sometimes. So that is something that I want to be a nice person. I still want to be that, but I could bring my own expectations, my own will, my own wishes more into focus, I think. What is the trait you most deplore in others? Stupidness. I would definitely say that it's ignorance, stupidness that leads to all of the bad things in our society and in our world. Dumbness, stupidness leads to ignore the facts, ignore the science, leads to racism, leads to homophobic behavior, leads to misogynism. If you are somebody who is just stupid, and I mean, yeah, I think that is a huge problem, and that is the thing that I deplore most in people and in the society, that we are not. I think that's the most important thing also to change education. What is your greatest extravagance? No, I'm sorry. The next question is, which living person do you most admire? I have no person. I can't give you a name, but the people that I most admire are definitely the people. For example, I had contact a couple of weeks ago through my job with a man who is working for Médecins Sans Frontières. That means, I don't know what it's called in English. Actually, it's Physicians Without Borders or something like that. And Ärzte ohne Grenzen in German. And this is one, not a person, but the whole organization and the people who have committed their lives to sort of invest their knowledge and their capabilities that they got from university to bring their knowledge to parts of the world where it is needed the most, and to sort of forget about earning money for the next big Porsche or for the beautiful swimming pool they want to add to their beautiful mansion somewhere, but to work for people in the sub-Sahara region of Africa, because this guy I talked to was working with women who were mutilated, their genital organs are mutilated in the Horn of Africa. And he worked with a lot of gynecology, with helping giving birth, which is extremely difficult for these women. And everywhere around the world, those people, nurses, technicians, but also doctors who help. Those are the people that I admire a lot. And there are more, if I would think about after, much more. So these persons I really admire for their work. So what is your greatest extravagance is the next question. Where do I spend a lot of money or too much money on? It's probably books. We are in BookTube, folks, right? So I spend a lot of money on, not so much money actually on books, but money on books. And I do not read all of them. That's what we all do, right? Because we all have our TBRs and things are added to our TBRs. We get new TBRs all the time and we don't really read everything. So this is probably the greatest extravagance. Before Corona, I started a little bit of traveling. I've been to Japan, I've been to the United States. But this I wouldn't describe as a great extravagance, because this gives so much value for the money. Traveling is very important for me. it's a way to sort of release my soul and make me feel better. And all the memories, when I ever look at the pictures, are coming back. And this is such great invested money for myself and my family. So let me change the battery. So that was talking about extravagance. What is your current state of mind? My current state of mind is sort of okay. Yesterday we learned from we got a promise here in Stockholm from the local city's vaccine coordinator. And he said, surprisingly, to my beautiful big surprise, that vaccinations for all people at the age of 18 plus will start, or are supposed to start, in week 19, which is May 10 and onwards. And that is a bit earlier than I have recently expected. So I really, really hope that we get through this. And this is going to be a very emotional moment when we get the vaccine, I think. So my state of mind is I'm waiting for this to be over. I need this to be over, not only for me, but for all of us, for my kids, for my neighbors, for my colleagues, and for the teachers that I work with. So really, that's my state of mind, is I still have to keep going for another month, and I still have to be strong and focus. Socially distance, mask up. You know the things. What do you consider the most overrated virtue? The most overrated virtue, one of the most overrated virtue is being a hero, or being, in an old sense of the way, or being strong, in a way of strong physical strength. This is a virtue that, being a man, the old John Wayne kind of man that still exists in our thinking, and even in our societies and in other societies as well. So I think that's the most overrated virtues, that kind of manliness, machoism that still is so active around the planet, and that doesn't lead to any good. And of course, vanity is also something that is really, it's not a virtue at all, isn't it? So I would stay with that virtue that people regard strength, strong men don't cry, strong people don't cry, and stuff like that is very much overrated. On what occasion do you lie? Oh my God. Marcel Proust, what do you do to me? What occasions do you lie? I think I try not to lie at all, but of course, there are white lies. I remember that, for example, you don't tell your children that you don't feel good, or you don't tell your mom when she's very old. My mother died last year in the summer, and she might have asked questions, I don't remember a special one now, about how I felt or anything like that. And I always would say, don't worry, I feel good. And this is sort of a white lie sometimes you give to people who are vulnerable, who you have an emotional relationship to, and you don't want to hurt them. And in order to not hurt them, or to not make them scared, I can use sometimes a white lie. What do you most dislike about your appearance? Oh my God, yes, I could have more hair, definitely. I could have less weight. I could dress a lot better. I've never dressed up that way that I wanted to do. So there are things, but I think I'm kind of satisfied with my appearance. We all get older, we have to live with that. And so it's okay. Which living person do you most despise? There is no living person I do most despise. I wouldn't say so. At the same time, I don't admire just one person the most of all persons in the world. So the living person that I most despise, there are lots of living persons that I despise, and these are people who have no respect for other people's lives, for other people's sanity, for other people's health. And so this is people who hurt others without any kind of reason, and for powering them, for bullying other people. I don't like bullies, I don't like racists, I don't like misogynists, I don't like homophobes. What is the quality you most like in a man? Definitely intelligence, definitely humor, and definitely social intelligence that is very important. The care, empathy. What is the quality you most like in a woman? The same. I mean, there's no difference, right? Maybe in Proust's questionnaire 100 years ago, they saw some differences in the roles, but I see the same. Which words or phrases do you most overuse? Definitely when I do videos, it's it is and, stuff like that. I overuse this so much that I should reduce it. And I don't know in German actually which words I overuse. There are probably some, but I try to vary my language as much as possible. What or who is the greatest love of your life? Of course, my children, my 2 children. When and where were you happiest? As I said in the beginning, very first question, it's not the question of being happy on March 16 of 1987 or something, but adding up to happiness. Happiness today, in the last couple of years, those happy moments, they are mostly achieved when I had beautiful trips, beautiful vacations, where I could sort of let the soul dingle, as we say in German. That means that you could almost forget that the clock is still going on, sitting on the beach, walking along a lonely beach at Rockaway Beach in Oregon, walking along the beach at Costa da Caparica in Portugal, and many other moments. These are really, really happy moments when you almost could think that time is standing still for you, which it doesn't, of course. It's an illusion. Which talent would you most like to have? Oh my gosh, I would love to have so many talents. I would love to speak not only English, Swedish, and German, and understanding Norwegian and Dutch and Danish probably. I also would love to speak Russian and Spanish and Portuguese, to name Italian, of course, to name 4 languages here that I really would love to have. I never studied them. I think I have a certain talent to study languages, but talent that I would love to have a talent to draw, to be an artist also in expressing myself with pictures, with paintings. This is maybe something that I would like to have, and I would like to have more skills as a jack of all trades, you know, being a plumber, being a carpenter or whatever, to do things in my home. If you could change one thing about yourself, what would it be? Oh my gosh. Questions in the questionnaire of Marcel Proust here. What would I change if I could change one thing about myself? I think I would be more firm. That's what I said before, and more, maybe also fearless in getting into conflicts where I am certain or sure that I am acting on morally legal reasons. Is that clear? What do you consider your greatest achievement? I think one of my greatest achievements is that, or my greatest talents also, is that I can really make other people enthusiastic about things. When I work, I really think that when I like things, when I do things that I like, I think I can sort of transfer that motivation or feeling to other people. So this is a good achievement that I have, but then I haven't made achievements like building the Eiffel Tower or building the Brandenburger Tor in Germany. No. If you were to die and come back as a person or a thing, what would it be? Well, I wouldn't love to come back as a thing, right? And I say too much right now. So I wouldn't like to come back as this Portland mug. No, definitely not. So if I would come back as a person, I would like to come back as myself and maybe do some things differently, some smaller things, maybe even some bigger things. So, but not. I don't want to come back as the mug from Portland here. I don't want to come back as Barack Obama. I don't want to come back as Aravind Adiga, to name just 2 people whose books are lying underneath the tripod. No. And Barack certainly doesn't want to come back like me, being me. Maybe he wants to be a booktuber. He would be a good one. Where would you most like to live? That is interesting because in the German version of the Proust questionnaire, this is the first question. So where do you most like to live? I would like to live, if life was a little bit longer, I would love to live in a lot of different places. I would love to live in London for about 6 or 8 months, not in the rich parts of London, but in the vibrant, diverse parts of London. For example, in Southwark, in the area of Elephant and Castle, have a small apartment, a typewriter, and would try to write some piece of literature in London, maybe. I would love to live in Costa da Caparica for a while in Portugal. I would love to live in somewhere at the Oregon coast. It can also be the Washington coast, in a small town. And even there, maybe to sort of get my thoughts clear and cleaned and rinsed. Rinsed? Is that a word? Somehow. And maybe write something. Yeah, so these are 3 places, but there are more. I would love to live in Paris for a couple of weeks. But also I would love to go to Asia, to Japan again, and even to South Korea, where I've never been before. To live there for a while, but not forever. What is your most treasured possession? Your most treasured possession? Oh my gosh, I think I don't have a most treasured possession. I have a very old photo camera from my late mom that she gave to me when I met her last year for one of the last times. But she gave it to me and it's still in my possession. And she gave it to me to give it to my daughter so that she might have some fun with it. A very old camera from the 1940s probably. So this is very valuable probably. Not in a money kind of way, but in an emotional way. What is your lowest death of misery? Pretty easy, something that we have to get used to, all of us in the world, if we don't live totally isolated, is the loss of a loved one, of course. I lost my parents. My father died in 2012. It was something that we saw coming. Over the years, there were some years it built up, and it wasn't such a big surprise. But it's still hard. And my mother, who died last year, but even close beings such as when I lost my dog, when we lost our dog 4 years ago. That was horribly shocking. He was old, but came as a very quick surprise to us, because one morning he was sick. We had to go to the veterinarian. The veterinarian took an X-ray and he said, well, this guy has a very big tumor inside his colon. We could do surgery, but it would be so horrible for him to suffer through that. So I would advise you to put him down. And that's what we had to do. And these are the lowest deaths of misery, I think, that we experience as humans, that we lose someone who is close to us. What is your favorite occupation? My favorite occupation as like a physician or a lawyer, or just occupation as something that we do. And I think I chose to take the latter one, occupation that we do. And reading is very nice. Reading in a beautiful reading on a balcony in Costa da Caparica, watching the Atlantic Ocean. Greatest thing on earth, maybe one of the greatest things on earth. But then also being with good people and having fun with good people. I mean, okay, we don't do that right now, all right? We haven't done that in the last 13 months, and we're not going to do this in the next 3, 4, 5 months probably. But to sit around with 5, 6 people and have fun and eat something beautiful, this is also beautiful occupation. So both the thing where we gather with other people, but also the moments where we are alone and do great things. So what is your most marked characteristic? I mean, you can ask that. You should ask that. You should ask other people about that. But if I am asked myself, my most marked characteristic is probably that I'm a very, when I think about my job, I think that I'm a very creative person who always has new ideas and new horizons. And even if I get older now, as we all do, I think that I'm still each and every day able to renew myself, to find new things, new apps, new ways of teaching, new ways of bringing messages to people. And so this I hope that I stay like this, that this stays like that, you know, that I will always be able, as long as I live, to see the new stuff in the world, and not fall back in what so many people do, to say, oh, everything was better, you know, when I grew up, everything was better, forget about the youth today. No, the youth is our great hope. The young people, they are. You are our greatest hope, that this planet that we sort of fucked up, I'm sorry to say that, excuse my language, but that you are saving the planet that we did so wrong with. I was gliding away from the questionnaire here. What do you most value in your friends? Yeah, humor, openness. That's what I value in each, what I want to value in each and everyone, and being true to me, which means that not going behind my back when I tell you something, or using facts that I might tell anyone to go against me, or things like that. That happened in my life as well. But so this I don't value. This is certain loyalty. Loyalty is also one of the things. Not loyalty when you do bad stuff, because you always need to tell your friends the truth. Because I think that's one of the biggest things of being a friend, to tell the truth and to say, hey, you are doing wrong here, and I need to say that to you. I need to help you because I love you. Who are your favorite writers? I have talked about this before. I don't say Marcel Proust now because I'm in a Proust questionnaire, but my favorite writers are Eric Ambler and Raymond Chandler and Dashiell Hammett. But now, since I've been on BookTube and since I read more literary fiction in the last 5 to 8 years again, there come a lot of more younger favorite writers. I like Lauren Groff. I love Rachel Kushner, and I love, she's coming back. See the video of New Books in April. At the end of April, she is currently publishing, or she has published already, a collection of essays. People like her are also my favorite writers. Who's your hero of fiction? My hero of fiction, well, if I go back to my my childhood days, it's one of my heroes of fiction is Jim, the little boy from Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson, you know, who goes on that big trip with the pirates, with Long John Silver. One of my heroes of fiction when I was very young. Which historical figure do you most identify with? Ha! Do I identify with a historical figure and say that's me? No, I don't do that. I would never identify with historical figures and say, I identify with Dwight D. Eisenhower, or I identify with former German Chancellor Konrad Adenauer. No, really. A politician that I admired of German history was the former Chancellor and Social Democratic leader Willy Brandt. Not to 100%, because he has a lot of flaws as well. But the thing, how he made politics with the so-called East Bloc, the Warsaw Pact, that he established relationships, again, as Chancellor, to Poland, his knee fall in Warsaw, all this, talking to the GDR, to East Germany, that is really stuff that I admire in history by Willy Brandt. But I wouldn't identify with him. Okay? Who are your heroes in real life? As I said, in real life, teachers, nurses, people who are system relevant, people who work in elderly care and who really care about the old people they care for, people who do jobs which are not well paid, but they do the jobs because they love the people they work with, to help. People who do jobs, sometimes low wages, sometimes higher wages. People who do jobs in order to help other people. These are my heroes of real life. What are your favorite names? I have, well, my favorite names, oh my God. I exclude the names of my daughters here, okay? So the favorite names I have, first names, would be, I like Laura and Linda. I would say Linda and Laura are very beautiful girls' names. There are more. I've been to Russia. I've had a lot of there are lots of Russian names that I really like Alexei or Sergei, or this is really beautiful. I could think of a lot of names, but I don't have any kind of super favorite names. What is it that you most dislike? I have said that before. I dislike stupidity, and I dislike everything that is harming people in a bad way for no reason. What is your greatest regret? Regrets, I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. Okay. What is your greatest regret? I have no greatest regret. I regret certain points in my life, but this is too private, and we don't have to get too private in this questionnaire, okay? And the last question, second to last question is, how would you like to die? Wow, what a personal question. But how would you like to die? How would I like to die? Like to die is really questionable in this questionnaire. So why not reading a beautiful book in full capacity of my physical and mental health at the age of 179 to read the Booker Prize winner of the year 2150 at the beach of Costa de Caparica, however it looks like. Okay. And the last question is, what is your motto? What is your motto? Live and let die. Paul McCartney. Live and let live is a very good motto, but it's not my motto, but I like it. And that's how I finished the questionnaire for today. So this was Marcel Proust's famous questionnaire, and I want to do it as a tag. I want to bring this as a tag questionnaire now to BookTube, and you don't have to do it, of course, but I tag anyway. I tag Margaret Pennard at Margaret Pennard. I tag Olivia at Olivia's Catastrophe. I tag Paula at Draw Your Book. Sean at Sean the Book Maniac. Mark Nash. Jyotsna at Jyotsna's Bookscapades. Jim at Jim's Books, Reading and Stuff, and Jason at Old Blues Chapter and Verse. You guys are tagged, you folks are tagged. Love to see your videos, love to see more videos of the Proust Questionnaire. Thanks for watching the video, and I hope to see you soon, tomorrow actually, when it's time for the weekly wrap-up. Stay safe, mask up, and bye-bye.